Welcome to Real Rock Nights, a new feature here on Real Rock Nights that you're pretty soon only going to be able to get on Patreon. It's only going to be for our Patreon subscribers, but we're giving you a freebie right now because I can't think of another band to begin a freebie with that is better than the band American Progress. And why? Well, imagine this. Two guys meet up in a bar. One who is doing sound for the other guy who just got off stage doing a long set, and they sit in the back of the bar while comedy begins. And they get to talking. After a little while goes on and a few more cervezas, so to speak, the two decide, hey, we should start a band. Well, by the end of the night, they not only have a rehearsal schedule outlined, but they also have a piece of their first song. The band, my friends, is called American Progress, and it's right here, right now in Discover LG.
Shep,
What's up, man?
oh my God.
I still think that was hilarious when Eric said, yeah, I think you might know one of the guys from your JGO days. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's like happened, I think like 5 or 6 times so far. I really didn't give much thought to it and looked at the picture when I was researching the band and the picture first came up. I was like, is that fucking TJ?
Like I had the a almost exact experience on the other end of the coin. They're just like, yeah, you're gonna like talk to this guy. There's this guy. We got this one in Iowa that we really want you to do. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I saw Shep, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, because the last time I talked to you, you were getting ready to relocate down to Iowa State University.
When did you come back to Milwaukee or come back to the area? I didn't, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't even know you were still around.
The thing was, I never really left. I went on tour. So like I still like I lived in Madison, then I lived in Edgerton. I was working at Big E's, and I had an apartment, my girlfriend at the time in Edgerton. And then I started getting all these tours. At first I started, I don't remember, there's like Kitty and OTEP and Five Finger and Manson. And I just started catching all these bands and getting really lucky, and jobs would just flow right into the next one. And so I didn't really leave. I just wasn't home. Okay. And like when I would come home, it was so short. And it was kind of like what we were just talking about a little earlier. It was so short that all I wanted to do was spend time with my family and rest. And like, people like, let's go out and hang and drink. And I'm just like, I'll make some exceptions in some days and some events and some plans, but for the most part, it was like I needed to recoup, reset, replan, reevaluate what the next gig or job was going to be, because it was always kind of selling yourself. You'd go on a tour with the band, then you'd finish it and you'd meet new people, and then you find out, oh, these guys are going on tour and they're looking for somebody. And then it's like now it's turning into selling yourself again. And it was like a full-time job when I wasn't working to keep myself employed. Because like we said, it wasn't something where you get health insurance and a W-2 and a normal schedule. It was like, hey, here's an opportunity, drop everything in your life and take it right now, or wake up in 2 months and regret it. And so it was always that mentality. So I was always just jumping on the next thing. So I really wasn't around in the scene as much as I was once Big E's Beach Club closed, and I wasn't the sound guy at the JJO go-to venue anymore. Like I still was doing a lot of stuff around town, but not nearly as much. And when I did, it was more for work. It wasn't like social events.
Okay.
I'd still go out and do stuff when I could, and obviously catch up with friends and, hang with you, and me, you and Nick would go out and get hammered and get you to drink a bottle of ranch. And stuff. And I count, I would, it counts, and you got to spend time, and you need the time with your boys and your people, and you have to do it. You do it. But there's also a time when it's like important to just, for me anyway, to just detach, give me my silence, give me my space. Let me just sit and like pan out all my personal shit that I've been neglecting, like working. And because that's another thing in this job, like being in a scene and talking to people and being out and being social is a big part of being like
Yeah.
successful in this industry. So it's a balance, and finding that balance and not burning yourself out and not overstepping your own boundaries is crazy important. And the older I get, the more I realize how important it is, just all around.
I guess maybe the reason I thought that you weren't there anymore, for some reason I thought you were out east somewhere or something. Was maybe the reason was because I would just every couple of years I would run into you at a festival or something someplace.
Sounds
And maybe
about right.
that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I'd run into you at like Rock on the Range and like Carolina Rebellion, and I'd Rocklahoma, like when you were down there. I remember running into you down there. And that's the other thing too. It's like, as far as what I was doing on social media, like I'm in LA, I'm in New York, like, yeah, pictures, cool, we're doing stuff. Like I wasn't taking pictures like that when I was sitting in my apartment in Edgerton.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know it.
So
That's
like
what
that was kind of like, again, it was just kind of people thought I was gone or I was just away. And
when I first got kicked to the curb, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing this online dating shit. Fuck it.
Ew.
And oh yeah, that didn't last long. But
Yeah, I don't do that
yeah,
anymore. Like
I get all this crap. It's like, how come all your pictures you're in them with somebody? How come you don't have any pictures by yourself? Well, just like you said, I don't sit at home and just take pictures of myself.
like, yeah, I'm out with my friends. I'm celebrating. I'm happy. These are the photos of myself that I enjoy. Like,
It's like, I'm sorry, I'm the guy in, there are 5 pictures and one of the guys is the exact same guy, so I'm that guy. All right. Do you understand? I can't tell you how many dinners I went on that I probably spent like thousands of dollars on a bunch of different chicks.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I know it. Well, it's like,
Fucking up, man.
I let things go. I'm like, okay, it'll work itself out. I'll get there. You know, well, no, it never did. And finally I reached that point where I'm like, okay, this is just pointless. Take somebody out, spend like $200-$300 on them, and then all of a sudden never hear from them again. And it's like, what the, or maybe you text back and forth for like 3 or 4 days and then they disappear. And it's like, okay.
You know, honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's just people become so comfortable with disrespecting other people and being so self-absorbed. It's pretty normal now. And, you know, I think that's just shit, man. I know people that would go and grab Tinder dates just because they didn't want to pay for dinner. It's like, oh yeah, I want to do, you know what I mean? Like just stupid shit like that. And it's just, I don't know. I can't tolerate it, sir.
No. That's, I don't know. It's ridiculous. You were in Milwaukee. You're working for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
I'm actually here right now. I'm at work.
You're at work. That's what. Okay, I thought that was a file cabinet behind you.
No, well, actually, no. That's like a breaker box. I'm out.
Okay.
Okay. I can give you a little. I'm at front of house, so this is like,
okay.
That's my console, and then that's the stage and the theater.
Okay.
And we can actually go for a short walk if you want to. Yeah, but yeah, I'm here more than I'm home these days. But I, you know, it is a very beautiful place to work.
Damn. When I first moved out to DC, I worked at, this is nicer. Now, when you get out from underneath the balcony, now I can see the ceiling and everything. Wow, that is really nice, man. When I first got to DC, I was working, I started out as just a stupid stagehand. It's like, I couldn't get a job in radio when I first got out there. And, because I didn't have the quintessential radio voice. I don't know, whatever. But I started out doing stage work, and then I moved up to lighting grip, and until I developed um oh, what is the word for it? And it's not exactly fear of heights, but what is it when you have the equilibrium and your ears are screwed up?
Vertigo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Until I developed vertigo. It's like all of a sudden, just one day, it was weird, man. I was like up on the top putting the gels in the cans, and all of a sudden I looked down. I was like, I can't move. I can't. It's like just like a switch went off. It was weird, man.
Yeah, as soon as you were like, yeah, I was just a whatever stagehand, there's no such thing as just a stagehand, man. Like, people really underestimate how crazy and how dangerous this job can be. Like,
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, if you're in that scenario, you're way up in the air like that, like you harnessed in, did you eat that day? Did you sleep? Like, these things affect the way you're going to be able to react to those
Exactly.
circumstances. And that's just an environmental thing. There's so much more. Like, let's get into like electricians and stuff like that. I mean, these guys are touching things that can just kill you
Yeah.
like that. And like, there's a tremendous amount of effort that's involved behind the scenes that a lot of people never see. And I've always been fascinated by that, which is why I just chose to stay in this industry as long as it would have me. And I've been really lucky so far, and this is really cool. But like, yeah, it can be a very dangerous job for in a lot of ways. Like there's a lot of circumstances of things that can happen. You never get the flowers when everything goes right.
Yeah.
Right. And everything's just like,
that is
you're
true, man.
completely taken for granted. And
They only remember when shit gets fucked up.
that's so true. This is what always was the running joke. This is why stagehands wear black. Like, they're not there. If you're doing your job right, no one even thinks about your involvement.
And I was lucky too, because the lighting designer she was really, really nice. And when I called her on the radio and was like, "Hey, Greta," was like, I looked down through the grate. I can't fucking move right now. I don't know what's going on." But anyway, she moved me up. She's like, "Okay, you're good." She's like, "We'll just put you up in the lighting booth." And it was the sweetest gig I had for like, I only worked there like 2 more months before XM like hire me, but it was the sweetest gig I had for 2 months, man. Sitting in the lighting booth, running the spot.
Spot op's a great gig. I like doing spot op stuff. I just gets weird on my like sitting in that position too long.
You were talking about that night with the ranch. That picture is still up on my Facebook. Like, that's my profile
I
picture.
sent it back to you.
Yeah, I saw that last night. I was like, well, actually, I looked at it and I was like, what? He sent me a blank email? What the hell? And then I scrolled down and that picture's on there. It's like, yeah.
There it is.
That was an interesting night. And then Nick getting pulled over by the cops as we were leaving.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. But then he talked his way out of it. I'm like, how in the fuck, man?
Dude.
Oh, and then I never told you the aftermath of it the next day, because you had told me that you would buy a drink for me or 2 drinks for me or something like that every place we stopped if I drank Jameson with you all night. And then the whole thing with the ranch dressing, you remember why I drank that?
No.
You told me, you're like, I'll pay your whole bar tab if you drink that bottle of ranch dressing right now. I was like, holy
big
shit.
baller shit in Wisconsin when we're drinking Miller Lights. It's like, yeah, all right, $18. Nailed it.
But to this day, man, I still drink it, but man, I get flashbacks if I even smell Jameson. The next day at work, nothing really happened, because I remember I was producing the morning show for Fish over on Jams. Nothing really happened with that.
Fish. man.
But then I got over to TDY where I produced their show. And all of a sudden, like, yeah, my stomach, I was like, man, something's going on. And for the whole like 4 hour shift, it was me sitting in the production booth and waiting for them to get to a break so I could run to the bathroom and dry heave. Be like, okay, I got 4 minutes. I got 4 minutes. All right. And I'd run down the hallway, dry heave, and watch the time, run back in just as they were coming out the break. That was my whole freaking shift. I was so fucking sick.
Oh, fuck.
And I got a feeling it wasn't the Jameson. I got a feeling it was the curdling of the ranch dressing.
Oh my God. I still can't. I remember, I still have a vivid memory of you putting that back and all of us just like, yeah. Like, I remember that portion. I don't remember the bar tab thing, but that totally sounds like something I would fucking do.
Like, well, I don't think you thought I was going to do it.
I probably didn't. Yeah. Oh man. This is what I'm talking about. I cherish those days. I loved all of that whole like hang scene back then.
Okay, guys, now on to the actual radio portion of the interview. Now, what you've heard so far is just the special part. This is the LG in Discover. Okay. And you are discovering the band American Progress. So this is the interview portion that was done for the show. But you Patreon listeners, well, it's going to be for Patreon pretty soon. But this is your freebie. You guys are going to hear the full unedited radio version of the interview as well. So let's get down to it. Well, if you were here at the top of the show, you know this is a wild one, guys. And I have to say it's a pleasure beyond belief. If you weren't here at the top of the show, it's going to soon become apparent. The band is called American Progress, and they are a three-piece out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, have a very refreshing sound, and their tune Outlaw is gaining ads exponentially. This rocks, man. Their drummer Tristan Wallace is here, aka TJ Lovebone, aka TJ Zilla.
Oh Jesus.
Or should I? Okay, I digress. Back to like professionalism or like a level of it. How's it going, TJ?
Dude, it's so good to see you, Shep. This is awesome. I when I found out it was going to be you where I was talking to, I was over the moon about it, man. Like we could sit and chat all damn day. It's like it feels like no time passes every time I see you, and that's man.
That's the way it is with real friends. It's like you get back together after like 10 years of not even seeing each other, and it's like, hey, just everything falls back into place. Let's see. I want to talk about this band American Progress, man. When did you guys form? When did this come about?
Yeah, really excited about it. It's been a lot of fun. And, it's a project. A friend, Andrew, our singer, he had like a residency at this place I was doing sound at, called the Paps Tap Room here in Milwaukee. He had like a once a month slot where he would come through and just play acoustic for like 3 hours to a crowd of like a lunch drinking crowd on a Saturday. They'd come in and do like, like small plates and beers and stuff. And It's always a really good vibe. And I just noticed immediately like how good he was at, like, first of all, he's a fantastic singer, like, and he's really good at working a crowd. He's very comfortable on a stage, and he's just sort of overall great guy. So we started talking, and yeah, one night it was like a double header show. So he was the afternoon musician for like the lunch hour thing, and then in the evening there was a comedy event. And I just happened to have like that weekend off of every other gig that I had going on. So I was just kind of hanging out at this brewery drinking, because my entire gig was, I had one solo artist with one microphone singing all afternoon, and then same microphone for comedy act all night long.
So you were doing sound. for
I'm
this,
doing
correct?
sound at this venue.
Okay.
And yeah, so we had this doubleheader show, and it was a really simple setup for me. So I'm just hanging out, enjoying Andrew's set, and we start drinking some beers and hanging out. And the show ends, and there's like a 3 hour gap. I think we ended up playing dominoes or something. We just sat down like a group hang, and everyone's just Saturday fun day kind of vibes. Comedians start coming in, and before we know it, we're still sitting there just like amping each other up about music and sound guy chats. It's like, oh, I
Okay.
just all the things, like really getting to know each other. And before I know it, we're still kind of going at that while the comedy show is going. So here's Andrew and I in the corner being loud and obnoxious, be like, we should start a band. And the people are like, like everyone would be like we're
They
trying
want to hear.
no, like, so they're kind of churching us and telling us to be quiet and simmer down, and we're just like, at that moment that night, we named the band, set up practices, like outlined this whole thing, like on the spot, and then we stuck to it. This was right towards like the tail end of the pandemic. So
Okay.
our first couple rehearsals, if you will, took place in that same venue because everything closed down, and my drums were there being used as the house kit. So I just left them there in exchange for a place to practice. I would be like, hey, bands can use this kit,
Okay.
which was cool. And so yeah, we went in there, somehow miraculously like stayed true to our schedule we made while we were inebriated, and we came through, did a couple practices. Actually, I should say we did two. And then the second one, we're like, well, let's record this and just see what we can, let's just record it for reference. We can play it back, or we can, mess with it. So we multi-tracked it right there in the same place where we had met.
Okay.
Only place we'd ever played together. We've only played together twice. And that recording is actually the EP that's been out since the pandemic. The
Wow.
Ace of Spades and Off the Wall. So we recorded that, no click track, no production, wrote on the Off the Wall on the spot during that like little recording jam session. And then after that, yeah, just it was like this kind of pandemic project. Wasn't a lot of stuff going on, so I was able to take that recording back home and polish it up enough to, I think we could release it as like a little 3-song thing, and then it just grew from there. Andrew found Steve a few months after that, and then we started kind of practicing with Steve, and then every time we would practice, we would just write a new song every time. Like, it was like,
Okay.
oh, I got this riff. Well, okay, this is the new thing. And that's been the evolution of this band up until this record, pretty much. Like, we don't practice much, and every time we do, a new song cranks
A new
out.
song comes out.
Like, if
And
we had time to jam every day, we'd probably have like 10 albums by now.
and with that being said, with it, do you think that leads to the sound of the band? Because you're saying that you're getting together and you're writing a song like every time you guys get together now, and it seems those songs would become organic. You're not really creating a song to be played on radio. You're creating a song to be performed.
We're creating songs to just this for us. Like, we just like jamming together. That's always been the thing with this band, is we don't take it too seriously. We don't practice a lot. We get together, drink some PBRs, and just enjoy it, have a great time with each other's company. It's very therapeutic, to be honest with you. It's kind of just like a step away from regular projects in life to just go be in this loud punk band and have a blast doing it. And that's exactly what it's always been about with this project. So I think that's why it does sound that way organically, because organically it is a lot of fun. So,
Okay. And now you said punk. Is that what you believe your genre is, or do you kind of cross precipices?
I hate labels like that, man. And I know it's cliche. It's like, oh, you get pigeonholed or whatever you got. But I mean, I think again, it's kind of just like a group style. The reason I think we goes into like the punkish genre at all is a lot of just like the kind of the beats and the way it's laid out. You could call it radio rock, you could call it pop punk, you could call it rock pop, water it down however you want. I just think it's fun to play.
Like, but I totally get that though too. The not being put in a box, and because once you are, you can't really get out easily. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
so why do that to bands, no matter who it is?
I mean, I get it. Sometimes it helps identify an audience of people who might be interested in this kind of style. There's a difference between a bluegrass and a rock band, right? So I understand there is like some kind of cross there. But at the same time, you're right. Like with a lot of things, genres, you run into boundaries that you unnecessarily set for yourself doing that. It's like, oh, yeah, we try to sell yourself to the wrong venue as a punk band, and they're going to go, we don't want that crowd here or whatever. So you really need to I think it's not a label I'm completely standing behind by any means, but it is something that gets tossed around a lot when we talk about the band.
It's just and in talking about the sound of the band, it's a refreshing sound. It's something that, like you said, you guys are having fun. You can hear that in the music.
Thanks. It's not forced at all. I think, one of us will come up with a riff and somebody will all just be like, yeah, that one. Or, oh, like you should do this part to that and whatever. And it's very,
so it's that off the cuff.
It really is that off the cuff. It really is that off the cuff. If you ever see our live show, we do a lot of just off the cuff moments. Because why not? Isn't that?
What you're describing to me is almost like a garage band type of style.
That's exactly it. It feels like that, we wanted it to be something that captures like our interests and the things that we like to do when we perform, which is, it's loose. We don't strangle it to death. We want to enjoy it, and we want the audience to enjoy it with us.
Is this your first quote unquote, I know you said it's not really a serious thing, but it sort of seems to me like it is a serious thing. Is this your first serious band, the first one where you're actually pushing the music to radio?
To radio, yeah. We've, like Andrew and I and Steve, I guess we all have solo projects we've done. Andrew has like a million. He's in so many bands. But yeah, we all have our projects, and all of us have stuff on Spotify and YouTube and like streaming stuff. But to push it into like mainstream, secondary market radio is really exciting for all of us. It's new territory for all three of us. And to be honest with you, it was very unexpected. So we're all just over the moon that people are listening to it. The main goal of this record for us was, we think it's cool that people dig it, but we just want people to hear it. I just want it to be heard and just out there, because I do believe it's special. It sounds good. We're super proud of it, and we just want people to hear it and experience it the way we experience it.
It's when Eric first told me about American Progress. For some reason, I want to call it a different name.
There's been a lot of bands with the word American.
So I got to remember the Progress. When he first told me about American Progress and doing this interview, I was like, I normally wait until the bands are in the top 40, like the top 40, top 30, because it is the top 20 countdown. And when he first told me about it, he also said, I think you may know one of the guys from your old blah, 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 insert radio name here days.
May know.
Yeah. And I didn't really think much of it because, yeah, people pop up. And then I was trying to research the band and a picture popped up and I looked and I was like, is that fucking TJ? And it just blew my mind. I want to delve a little bit into you. I want people to understand the person that I came to love as one of my best friends. And uh, when did the music bug grab you?
It's honestly one of those things that's as long as I can remember. It really is. I was one of those kids that would set up, stools and stuff and pretend I had a drum set when I was a child. I would be the guy dancing around in his room with his plastic guitar at like 7, 8 years old. I always was into it. My great grandmother played piano in church. My dad worked as a DJ. So I was around it a lot. It wasn't like class. It wasn't, embedded in me as like, you should be a musician or you should do anyway like that. I was just always around music and always really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think it's a bug I've had my whole life. I think my first band I was like 12, you know.
Damn.
The only reason I went to school to do what I do for a living, which still work in music, is because I wanted to like record an album. Like it had nothing to do with actually learning to mix and stuff. It was like, oh, I just wanted the studio time because tuition is less here, right? Was less money than studio
actual
time.
studio time.
So, right. Yeah, I think it's just like, I mean, you get it, man. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. You get into this and it's just really, I can't imagine my life without music and I don't really want to.
Is it now, the whole thing with trying to get into it just to record your band or bands and not really get into it to mix and be that sound engineer? Which did you find was more pleasing to you? The being a band or the sound engineer?
That's a great question. I have my moments with both, positive and negative, right? Like both can have their own level of stress, their own level of nerves. I mean, it's still a performance it's just on either side of the coin. Are you looking at me playing or are you hearing how I interpret what's happening onto the stage through these speakers that I control? So it's to me, it's a performance either way. And any performance can be great or not so great. And I think a lot of it's just preparation. But as far as which do I enjoy more, I don't know. I love playing and I love mixing. So I don't really have an answer for that. I think it's just depends on the day and the mood I'm in. Sometimes I want to like beat the hell out of my drums and sometimes I want to be an audio dork and sit around and turn knobs and divulge into technology. I think it's just kind of depends on my mood at the time.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, you have something, you have two things that you love. That's how I want to put it. You have two things that you love to do. And so your mood is going to depend on it. You're not always going to want to be doing the exact same thing all the time.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Which do you think, looking at it this way, do you think that one has been more rewarding over the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think the career path of being an audio engineer that's my bread and butter. That's put food on my table. That's led me to positions to meet and like create tremendous friendships with people like you. I would have never met you had I not been an audio engineer and went down that path. And that holds true with a lot of people in my life. So
I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it works both ways on that one too. Like I've met a lot of people that, no, we're not going to go there, but yeah, it was, I think that was probably audio engineering has been very fruitful for me and I'm very lucky to get to do it for a living. But the band stuff, again, it's more for fun. I like performing and everything, but as far as how it's affected my life, absolutely mixing audio is,
That's
that's
been the most rewarding. Then,
the job.
uh, have you always been a drummer?
No, no.
What did you start doing?
I actually did start on drums. I mean, I think everyone picked around with a piano or something when they were a kid, and you start to develop, what instruments intrigue you. I was in fifth grade, and they had tryouts for band. It was kind of like the prelims of getting into middle school where they had marching band and things like that. So they're trying to kind of organize people into sections and what have you. And yeah, I didn't realize I tried out for three percussion instruments
Okay.
because you had to pick three instruments. So somebody's like, oh, I want to do trombone and clarinet and flute. And mine were xylophone, bass drum, and timpani. So I had no, but they'd still made me do three separate tryouts, and then I ended up in the percussion section when I was in the fifth grade, and I stayed with it all the way through college. About when I was about 12 to 14, I think, so about 2 years after that, I got a guitar for Christmas and
Okay.
kind of because all my friends were in percussion with me, so we can't have four drummer band. At least, I
Well,
realized you could do that at the time. And yeah, so I played guitar for all the way through high school. All like my first projects I was ever in were all just guitar stuff. So I played guitar for a long time. I still play piano for fun. Just like to pluck around on it, but it's one of those instruments, if you don't practice it regularly, you're just that's a me thing. I'm never gonna
and
let.
so you think did you okay, uh obviously the percussion like came first. And as far as the guitar and piano, I actually had one person tell me that it's easier to learn guitar if you know how to play piano. Did you know how to play piano before you started guitar?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, well, I kind of learned the fundamentals of the piano before that, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot with hand movement and coordination that translates to both instruments. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. And also depending on how well if you do play piano, if you understand scales and you can read music, then I mean that's absolutely applicable to any other instrument. I think it's a really good foundation for other instruments, not just guitar, but I mean anything else really. I think like between piano and drums, you learn a lot about fundamentals, like I said, keys, scales, coordination, but also like timing and how important that is.
So, okay, all basically what you're talking about is the fundamentals because he never actually went into like why it made it easier for him to play the guitar left after learning piano. But from what you're saying is more the fundamentals and the the hand dexterity for the most part, right?
Most of the best musicians I've ever met are kind of multi-instrument verse. A lot of my favorite musicians play multiple instruments, and I think it does really the versatility helps because like learning how this one works or learning this works or where they fall in the sonic spectrum, bass, high end, and their relevance to whatever piece of music you're performing or playing. It's circumstantial, but yeah, I do think that being versatile really is helpful. And I think it does just kind of mold you into a better musician overall. At least that's been what I've observed over my years.
Okay, and now I want to ask you a question. Like this being from a sound engineer standpoint, and it has to deal with something that is going on in the industry. And there's been rumor about a couple songs that actually have used it that are like on the charts, and that has to do with AI.
Mm.
Do you or have you seen? I've been told by different people that there are things. I've been told how AI actually ends up working, and I've been told there are a few things that can create. But in your opinion, is there AI out there that can make a top 10 song?
I mean, I assume so. As far as like AI that generates audio, the stuff I've experienced so far, I don't think can like top, the human element. But I always approach these types of things as it's art. And I mean, you can get AI to generate a photo for you. That's art.
Yes.
You can get AI to generate a story for you. That could be art, interpreted however you want. So yeah, I mean, could it produce a song? Absolutely. And then once that song's produced and it's a piece of the art, then now it becomes up to us if it's going to be a top 20 song. All right. Now it's how do we experience, how do we value it? How is it sold to us? How is it, being received? So could it have the potential to go to the top? Yeah. I mean, I've listened to plenty of songs in my lifetime that I was like, I cannot believe this is this popular, So yeah, could it happen? Totally.
Like, I guess, like with you talking about, um, yeah, it can generate a piece of art. It can generate script for you, but that comes from human art. That comes from things that are already out there. It takes bits and pieces, doesn't it?
So does AI. And from what I understand, there's a lot of lawsuits going on right now from large companies that own rights to, large libraries of music that are arguing that this is infringement because it's pulling from these copywritten ideas. I don't know. It's a weird time. I don't know. I do think that it should be regulated. I think we've seen how not controlling how music and media work together and how that's damaged the music industry over time, and in the past and what that's done. And
Yes.
not saying it's all bad. There's been a lot of great things, but I think it needs to be, you got to pay attention to what the potential could be. Like, are we talking about like eliminate like the possibility of nobody writes songs anymore? Like, how awful would that be? Like,
Well, if that actually happened, and uh, AI is pulling from like all the things that humans have done, and it's not actually creating like from the ground up, won't it make all the music sound the same after a while?
I mean, I would say yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to affect it in a non-human artistic direction. I guess I would think look at it like a lot like an unmanned aircraft, right?
Okay.
It's like it's never going to have that same judgment and instinct of a pilot. It's going off of data and programming, and also it's safer. An artist has to be vulnerable. An artist has to actually put their heart into something, or maybe not, but they have to still have the guts to put it out there to the world. There's none of that vulnerability and that artistic expression coming from a machine. It's like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, so to me, it's almost like an unmanned vehicle, if you will.
Okay. And now with all this recent talk of AI and music, hasn't artificial intelligence been around in music for the last few decades? I mean, I'm talking about drum loops. Like, hell, you can. Who was it? The Gorillas. They created a song off of. It was a pre-programmed setting on a keyboard,
Yeah.
and that song went top 40.
Well, let's like what somebody heard that and was like, oh, this is really catchy. Let's manipulate this and adopt this to our thing. Or like the same thing with drum loops if you want, or how auto tune. And I think this is the way AI should be used as a tool, more of a tool than less of a crutch. Like it doesn't need to do all the heavy lifting. There still should be some human component and element, or else to me, I mean, where is the line where it's not really art anymore and it's just a computer program?
Then we're all just living in Buck Rogers in the 25th century, listening to the crappiest music ever. Oh, well, whatever. Let's get back to talking about American Progress. You guys, are you looking at any live shows or tours coming up?
Absolutely. We're going to be on the road the entire month of August, pushing this out. So we kick it off on August 1st at the Harley Museum here in Milwaukee. Harley has been so supportive of this band, and we're very grateful for that. They've put us on a lot of big shows and big stages, and it's been a really good support system from the city of Milwaukee and the community. So that's been really cool. So yeah, we're going to kick it off there. And then we basically just kind of go south. So we go, I think it's, what's the route? It's like Milwaukee to Cudahy down to, we go over to Michigan. Going to visit the music factory over there. Then we go down to Indianapolis, Kentucky, Nashville. So we're moving around kind of.
Okay.
So we're trying to kind of start growing outside the state of Wisconsin. As you know, we just dropped this album, and like I said, we've only played a small handful of shows total as a band ever. I mean, less than 20. So we want to start to kind of trickle the roots outside of the state a little further, and so the radio stuff is really helpful for that. But yeah, we plan on being out the entire month of August, just bouncing around, pushing this, and enjoying playing in some places where I'm going to get some really good food.
Well, and I have a rule too. 4-state radius. You get within a 4-state radius, and you're going to see my face, man. You're going to see my ugly mug right down in front of the stage.
Oh, I'm holding you to that. I can't wait to like see you in person again, man. I'm really glad we got a chance to catch up today. I mean, it's so cool. Like before we got on this interview, we've been talking for what? Like,
we talked for an hour before I looked at the clock and I was like, damn, okay, we got to start this thing.
Oh, brother, that's awesome. That's like no time ever passed.
Not at all, man.
Yeah,
are you guys flying? Are you guys flying sightless?
Flying sightless?
Yeah, websiteless.
Kind of. I mean, we don't have like a .com, but I think we do a pretty good job of utilizing our social media. It's so important these days to get those analytics and numbers up. So we try to do things that create less competition. So instead of having a website, I can do something where now it motivates you to come to these socials more often, which help things roll in the right direction for us. So I've been kind of trying to direct the traffic to one of our best ones is the Instagram, because at the top of the link is our link tree. And if you click that, it has everything, all of our socials, all of our streamings, all of our videos, our merch store, everything's right there. And it's very simple. So yeah, at the time there's no .com. I don't know if we really ever will have one.
I have kind of seen it going that way. Because God, I want to say I've had like maybe like 20 like artists / bands in the last year and a half that they're not doing the website thing.
And the way I see it is like, let's look at, the checks and balances here. Is it worth us spending money on hosting and domains and upkeep and all the effort it takes to actually support a good looking website? Like, and the time and effort involved in that, I'd rather be mixing and playing songs. So I think it's easy the platform's there, it's set up to do it. It's very convenient for bands, and why not utilize it?
Well, and then I did not know this until about 6 months ago. One of the artists that I was just talking about, she told me that she could actually hook a domain up to her Facebook page.
Yeah, I mean, there's links and stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do. I feel like the options.
I mean, I'm talking about like I could actually type in hername.com and it go to her Facebook page.
That's new to me. I don't know. Maybe
and if that's possible, I don't know why anybody would like pay for a web host again.
Right. I mean, there's so many great tools. I mean, you can Google anything, man. So it's if you're looking for something, you'll find it. I mean, there's plenty of ways and sources to do it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you can say for now we're flying sightless.
Sightless. That's the best way to go, man. So the Facebook and Instagram, you're not doing any TikTok.
We have a TikTok. I don't run it. We're on there somewhere. We're definitely on that. We're on all the things. We're on TikTok. We're on, Instas, YouTube. The YouTube's been cool. We just put out a video for Outlaw, which is kind of like a Mallrats parody. We're having a
really?
You didn't see it?
No, I got to get that on the website. I did not see that.
Oh yeah, we dropped it at the same time as the record just like a week ago. So but yeah, it's it's kind of like it's got a Mallrats theme to it. We got kicked out of 3 different malls in Milwaukee, just bouncing around the city trying to guerrilla shoot, and we just kept getting kicked out of places. It was a lot of fun, and we did it like on Easter weekend. So like all these places are just
packed.
What the hell is going on? Like, what are you guys doing with these skateboards and shit? Like,
that is funny, dude. Who was Silent Bob?
Steve.
I can see it.
Yeah, he did the trench coat thing and everything. I mean, yeah. Let me know what you think.
I will, man. I'm going to check it out here in just a minute, man. It has been really, really freaking awesome to talk to you. And as TJ and I talked earlier, we texted earlier. Once Outlaw hits top 40.
I love that enthusiasm.
The whole band is going to come back.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are all going to come back. I want everybody to get up close and personal with you guys. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the band because we're going to have 2 people that I do not know. And I actually have to learn about. But TJ, it has been so freaking awesome to talk to you, man. We've been talking about Outlaw. So what do you say we let everyone hear American Progress and Outlaw?
I think that sounds great. I hope you guys dig it.
This, my friends, is the band American Progress. And remember that name because you're going to hear a hell of a lot of it in the future. Their tune Outlaw is right here, right now on Real Rock Nights.